Hi, I'm Anthony from Sydney Backyard Veggies. Just been a quick lull in the rain here in Sydney. It's been raining on and off for the last 3 days, and we've gone close to about 80 mils. So the garden is quite wet, and I'm actually concerned that I'm going to start seeing a little bit of rot coming through my veggies. So I'm going to be out here today trying to harvest whatever's ready, just to take it out so that it doesn't get any damage. I'm over at my Brussels sprouts patch, and over the last few weeks they have really started to put on a lot of size, so much so that the Brussels sprouts are just going a little bit too far and they need to be harvested. So just to show you my Brussels sprouts patch, I've got my 7 plants here, planted in mid-March if I remember correctly. 7 plants, and if you can just see these 2 plants here in particular, these Brussels sprouts are good to go. Now once they start spreading like that, that's gone beyond their ideal size. Really wanting ones tight and closed up like that one over there. Again, this one here as well, very similar. The Brussels sprouts are ready to go. Look, they are not overly large, but that's okay. I just don't want them to get any larger. Now, as these store-bought seedlings, they're not commercial varieties, I'm not expecting them to form large Brussels sprouts as you'd get in the shops. But look, it's good enough. It's good enough. These sizes is good enough for me to use in my kitchen. So when it comes to harvesting, at the moment, I'm going to be harvesting this one here, and I'm going to be definitely harvesting this one. Now the other ones further back, they are starting to put it in decent size as well, but I might leave these until next week to see if I can grow out the smaller ones. But I might be harvesting at least 2 or 3 plants. This one I'll be looking at harvesting as well. Coming over to the first plant. Beautiful. Just got to get rid of all these leaves. There you go. Not overly large, but plenty of nice Brussels sprouts on it. So this is my Brussels sprout, and now for people who haven't grown Brussels sprouts before, it's quite interesting to see that they actually grow on the stem rather than like other brassicas at the top of the plant. It's really interesting. I'm just going to cut a lot of these leaves off. These are going to go to chickens, although you can eat them. Not for me personally. Just clearing out all these leaves. So there you have it. That's my cleared Brussels sprouts stalk. Probably got close to 1 kilo of Brussels sprouts here. There's a lot of smaller ones at the top, but they're still just as fine, still edible. And I actually been seeing them actually lately at the local supermarket. They sell baby Brussels sprouts, so I guess this is where they get them from. Gonna clear out one more and I'll show you my final haul. Just finished my Brussels sprouts harvest, and I got 3 stalks worth, and there comes some really nice sized ones here. And what I'll be doing is just taking these off, popping them off, giving them a bit of a wash, store them in the fridge for use during the week. Now, my family ain't big eaters of Brussels sprouts, but they are quite fun to grow. So what I'll be doing is probably try to do a pan-fried Brussels sprouts with something like a bit of honey or something like that I've had in the past, which will make them a bit more palatable. But I do enjoy growing Brussels sprouts. Next season, I'm going to try to get some commercial grade seeds so that I can get a bigger Brussels sprout that doesn't bolt or doesn't start loosening up as quickly, so I can get a bit of a larger plant. But look, they're fun to grow. If you've got the time and got the space, they do take 7-8 months of growing to produce. These were planted actually late in March and just harvested them at the end of August, or mid-August. Now with the remaining Brussels sprouts plants, I'm going to do some work on them to encourage the plants to form up those Brussels sprouts faster and more consistent size across the whole plant. Now, as you can see at the moment, they're actually still quite small, and this one here is probably a little bit larger. But what I'm going to be doing is to stop it from focusing on growing more Brussels sprouts and more leaves. I'm actually going to top the plants just at this point here. I might be able to show you a little bit better on this closer one. I'm going to top it just at the top here, and the idea there is that the plant will stop focusing on getting taller and producing more Brussels sprouts, but then instead just focus on growing out the remainers. And I've done that. I did this technique last year, and I found that in about a week to 10 days time, all the Brussels sprouts grew to about the same size, and it was perfect for harvest. When it comes to topping your Brussels sprouts, just go to as high as I can, pretty much where the really small Brussels sprouts are just starting to show, and just with my pruners just cutting that top completely. Now these are edible, as I said before, and I've had people suggest that I should cook these up, and I might give one a go, but generally speaking they just go to chickens in my garden. Now to bring you closer to show you what I've done, just cut off that top. The ones here are just really small. I'm not expecting them to produce, but it's more about the ones further down that I'm expecting just to grow out, and they should get to a good size in about 10 days time. Just finished pruning all those, and you can see all heads have been cut off. Now I will be coming back to harvest a lot of those plants in about a week's time, week to 10 days, and I'll show you how they look like at that point. And as for the Brussels sprouts heads, I'm having second thoughts now. I might take these inside to see if I can make a dish out of them. If you have any ideas or any suggestions, please leave me a comment. Let me know what I could cook out with these. Hoping to do them during the week, but I'll just give them a nice little wash. They're actually looking quite clean at the moment. Might give them a little wash and see what I can make out of them. Moving on from my Brussels sprouts, and it's in my garden at the moment. As soon as we came across the shortest day of the year, I found that my garden has been really responding to the longer daylight hours and the slightly warmer weather, and it just feels like as we are moving closer to spring, the garden's starting to become a bit more turbocharged. And over at the front, it really shows mostly at this front part of my patch here, where I've had planted cos lettuce, Chinese broccoli, and Chinese cabbage there over in the corner. And just looking at them, these lettuces were doing next to nothing for about a month and a half when we went through the dead of winter. And as you can see now, the heads are just starting to form, and they're all forming quite uniformly. I have harvested 2 heads during the week, and I'm actually going to be harvesting another lettuce for the table for tonight. But it's just to show, if you get your veggies in June, even though nothing is happening in the growth of the plants, as soon as the daylight just gets a little bit longer, plants power through. Like the lettuces, the womboks are really starting to respond to the longer days, and if you can see, over the last week and a half, it's just exploded. And at this stage, the heads are just starting to form. That's just the first sign of the heads forming. So what I have to do at this stage is just add a little bit more fertilizer. So if you could just see that, I've added a little bit of dynamic lifter pellets to the base of each plant, and that's really to give it that second boost of nitrogen. These grow fast, and they need the nitrogen to really work to their potential. So I'll be added the dynamic lifter this week. We've had a lot of rain, so I'm not going to be adding any liquid fertilizer, but I'm expecting that next week or 2 weeks time. I'm going to give them a really good feed of liquid fertilizer, a power feed, or something that's highly with high nitrogen content. But as with all the rain we've been having, slugs are the big problem at the moment, and it's needing to keep on top of all the slugs. And yes, that's all slug damage that you're getting right there, and just over here. And that, for me, in my context, I'll be controlling those with slug pellets. Just going to stay on top of them. But generally speaking, those external leaves, that's no big deal. They'll get thrown out in any case. But the key is I don't want the slugs to get inside the head as it's starting to form now. Once the slugs get in there, it's almost impossible to get them out without completely taking apart the leaves of the Chinese cabbage. But all of them are looking beautiful. Just really stoked of how well they're producing at the moment. But at this stage, what I need to be doing now is harvesting my Chinese broccoli, otherwise known as kailan. And this is my 3rd planting of kailan, and these ones were, in previous videos I planted these out, these were a gift seedlings that were gifted to me. They actually are really good. They weren't 100% the best seedlings when I got them. They were a bit leggy, but having them planted out, giving it a little bit of water and a little bit of fertilizer, and they've produced well. Responded really well to coming into spring. They've responded really well. I'm going to be harvesting these, and I'm actually quite happy that these are ready to be harvested. I'm going to want to start clearing this back bed here because I want to start getting my corn seedlings planted in this space, and I'm hoping by the time we hit September most of these crops will be out of the ground. It's starting to rain again, and the rain's been on and off all day, but I'm going to try to see if I can harvest this before it starts absolutely pouring in my backyard. To encourage Kale to produce new stems, you want to cut it so that it's not completely to the base but just above a leaf. I'm just going to cut at this leaf here and taking that off completely and just leaving it there, and you'll find that the new sprouts will come from just above the leaves, and that should produce another crop in about 4 to 6 weeks time. And while I'm out here, before the rain starts bucketing down, I'm going to harvest one cos lettuce as well for the table. Probably end up taking this one. Beautiful. This is the final haul, and I just wanted to show you the cos lettuce. It's beautiful, like it's really clean. Really happy with how this came out, and I do find that lettuce grows really well this late winter and in early autumn, and it's just absolutely clean, no sign of disease. This is going inside to be made into Caesar salads. And with the kale, again, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, again, no disease, no pest pressure. Yeah, when you're growing stuff in the middle of winter, again, the pests tend to stay away, so you end up getting nice crops. This is going over to my in-laws place, and the lettuce, still got plenty of them in the garden. I'll be using them, and I'll also be passing them on to my parents. For the kale planting itself, what I'll be doing is just going and removing a lot of this chickweed. It's quite easy once you can get your hands to it. Just pull it by the roots. It's quite it's not very it's very easy to pull out, and this will mostly die out before once spring comes along. But I would be adding more chicken manure pellets just around the base of each of the plants, and that way I'll actually actively encourage it to produce that second crop. Then I'll clear it, and quite excited, expecting these to be finished in about 4 weeks time. This patch to be finished in 2 weeks. I'll be pulling up most of the lettuce. These guys will be ready to go in that 4 weeks, and that means for me that this whole area can then become spot for my first planting of sweet corn. And at this stage I'm still trying to think about whether I should start some seedlings or should I plant them directly, and I'll probably have a think about that over the next week, whether I will plant them out. But I will go and show you the 2 varieties that I'm going to be growing for this season. When it comes to corn varieties that I grow in my patch, I grow 2 varieties. The first variety I grow is called Max. Now I've been growing this variety for the last 4 or 5 seasons, and I really like the way it performs. It's a commercial variety, and it puts out at least 1 full-size ear in each per plant, and it's really a full ear. It has a really nice nice flavor, really strong sugary taste to it. I used to grow this every season, but last season I couldn't find any more seeds on the market, so then I resorted to growing Sentinel, and again another commercial variety. I find this one produces just as well as Max. I do find that the Sentinel plant is a taller plant, and it does have a habit of producing 2 ears as opposed to 1. Now that could be because I'm getting a little bit better at planting corn than previous years. So, but either way, either variety is perfect for you to grow. These varieties, both these varieties I brought from Happy Valley Seeds, but I have brought Max from other online retailers, so look around, and it does pay to look around to get the cheapest prices on them. And also when it comes to planting seedcorn, if you're going to direct seed in Sydney, wait to the end of September. You don't want to be, they won't germinate before that. I am thinking about potentially starting a punnet of seedlings, and I will plant them out, but I'll start them up in about a week or two's time. I'm going to be trying to grow a lot of corn this season. Homegrown corn is nothing like it. It's literally eating a sugar-coated piece of corn on a cob, and it's absolutely amazing, especially if you can harvest it and on that night eat it at its prime. You can't beat it. Now on our seedling front, I want to give you a quick update of where they're at. Now that we're moving into the 10th of August, I'm about 2 weeks away from planting out my tomatoes, and at this stage the tomatoes are still just a tad small. They are coming up to their first true leaves, and I'm expecting it in that 2 weeks time frames they'll be long enough, tall enough to plant out. I have been giving them a weekly feed of liquid fertilizer to really help them along, and hopefully they will be ready to go. With my chilies, eggplants and capsicums, they're looking great. Finally went through and potted out all these seedlings. These are my Agostini chili capsicums. This is the yellow variety, up to their 3rd or 4th true leaf now. Now at this stage they'll be ready to plant out in September. Eggplant, Monacasa, again they are starting to put on a lot more size. You can just see that 3rd true leaf just forming up there, so really happy with how they look in. And with that, Harley, the red bell capsicum, again looking beautiful. Like I've got no complaints here. I bring them indoors at night. They sit out in the sun all day here, but I bring them indoors at night, make sure it still stays warm, and they seem to be growing quite well. And the jalapenos, Jedi, they have had a better start than the capsicums. They're coming up to their 5th true leaf there, and they'll be ready to plant out in the start of September, no problem. And over at my beans, they've been in the punnet for a week now, and they're just starting to germinate. These, this is the jade bush beans, and I had these on the heat mats over the week, and I've been trying to make sure they keep water. They seem to dry out very fast on the heat mat, so you want to keep them watered regularly. Now at the moment we're taking them out into the rain, let it rain onto them a bit, and I'm going to take them back inside and have them back on the heat mat. And before I wrap this video, I just want to show you what else I'm doing to prepare for spring. I have been given the opportunity to start collecting mushroom compost from a local mushroom grower, and I've got the ability to grab, they say, about 300 kilos worth of spent mushroom compost a week. So progressively been bringing these back home once a week and collecting it in my bins ready for spring, so I can spread them out on the bed. So really fortunate to be able to get this free resource. Just going to be unloading these out of the truck, and I'm going to let them settle in one of the bins for 2 to 3 weeks, just to help them to break down just a little bit more. Now these bags come in almost like 1 kilo bags, and you can just see they've got a little bit of mushrooms growing on them, so they're still perfectly fine, and probably even still got a bit of microbial life in them, which will be great for the garden. So far I've been just collecting that in this bin, and it's actually reduced a lot in size. It's been about 2 weeks this has been sitting here, and it's been progressively just breaking down. Doesn't need to break it down too much, but just want to let it settle in a bit. Just going to continue adding the rest of that compost into here, but I'll break it up first before it goes into the bin. So I'm just going to spend the afternoon just ripping up these bags and breaking up that mushroom compost, and it's going to be a great addition to the garden bed. I've got a lot of homemade compost, but having that additional organic matter that I can use at my different plantings throughout spring, it's going to be perfect, especially that it's free. So really happy that's coming along. Thank you very much everyone for watching this video. I really appreciate all the support. If you want to ask a question, please feel free to leave a comment on my video, or reach out to me via my socials on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.